I'm Ryan. I'm in Colorado.
Hi, folks. I'm Rob from Scotland.
I'm Leah. I'm in Colorado.
Mark, bounce around amongst Cancun area in Mexico, New York and Miami. This is my first time on a Zoom with y'all, and I've been sort of lurking, but it's good to meet y'all.
Hey, I'm Vince from Colorado.
I'm in São Paulo, Brazil.
It's been interesting going from international travel to back in the normal pattern. So that's been a little adjustment, but I've spent the whole week working on kind of what I used to do a lot more of. I'm editing video and I'm working with a team around a project. And so it's kind of fun to dabble in that space. I've kind of enjoyed just having like something very clear to focus on and really clear indicators when I'm doing good or not. So I'm also writing about our experience in the jungle, kind of like adventure style travel blog writing. And I've got lots of video from it to edit. So I'm working through that. It's fun.
I was at a Byron Katie style retreat this weekend. She's one of my spiritual teachers. I realized I had this story my whole life that I was mean to my mom growing up. And in the retreat, I realized that was just a story and I could question it and I could challenge it and I could understand my childhood. And I felt so free ever since this weekend. Lots of tears were shed, but man, I feel lighter.
This week, I installed a cellular antenna, an LTE antenna for helium mining, and I'm super psyched about this stuff for trying to install all these radios, and it's super frustrating and hard to do, and I'm working with freelancers all over the world to get the networking figured out, but it's cool because this is all so brand new to me, and yet it uses old skills, and so it's got my brain working on the left side and the right side, and I guess that's crypto, right? Like it's all these different things mixed together.
I think the highlight of my week has been, well, the low light was getting struck down with man flu over the weekend, and the highlight has been not having man flu and starting to feel slightly human again. So yeah, slowly struggling back to some kind of normality.
I don't know, the most interesting thing that's occupied my head this week is I've been diving back into Linux. And for anybody who doesn't know, Linux is an open source, decentralized operating system for computers. I've also been looking into maybe moving over to like a Linux-based cell phone. It's another rabbit hole. It's a fascinating place for me. So
my highlight this week is that I got a 10 in calculus 2, so I was pretty happy. It was pretty hard. I was like kind of dreaming about like calculus. It was in my dreams, but well, at least I got a good grade, so I'm happy.
So I've been in my own exploration around and questions about what I want my relationship with crypto to be. Specifically, it came up also in part because of the trading competition. And I talked to Pete, and Pete suggested I join, and I was just like, I want to be part of the community. But then I went to Cello's overview, and I was like, whoa, I have so much to learn if I want to join this trading competition, and do I want to learn it? And so that was sort of what inspired the idea behind this week's theme, which is giving ourselves the time and the opportunity to get really clear about what we want our relationship with crypto to be. I bet a lot of us interact with it. Some ways we love, some ways, lately I've been checking prices first thing when I wake up, and I'm like, when did I become that person who does that? That's not necessarily a thing I want as like part of my identity as someone who checks all my bank accounts first thing before I do anything else in the morning.
How many of you check prices first thing when you wake up?
Guilty.
How many of us don't?
I have a few questions written down, and we're just going to partner up for like 4 minutes and answer that question, and then switch partners and ask a different question. Okay, so you'll be with one other person. The first question is, what most excites you or inspires you about the crypto space?
The things that can be done with crypto money. So on the one hand, projects that really help to help the rainforest or to help endangered sounds. If I could get $1 million, which in any other industry would be a crazy idea, but if I can put together $1 million, then I can send my 2 kids to private school. And even with these crypto miners, a lot of these are going in Mexico, and they're going in homes of people who are very poor. And when they go into the home, we can then pay for their internet access, which, like the main things that these people pay for are their cell phones, internet access. Housing is usually part of a government thing. So these are some of the biggest expenses in their lives. And so while I'm trying to do things for me and my family and my business partner, for him and his family, crypto is also helping the local people.
He talked about banking the unbanked. For me, it was true democracy, using currency as a voting means. And we sort of geeked out on that for a little bit.
Me and Vince are quite excited about the hope that Bitcoin and crypto maybe gives to humanity going forward to break away from a fiat system, try and get a bit of control and ownership back into everybody's hands, let a system build on a hard money, and maybe get away from the inflationary aspects and let us restructure society around about a hard system of money, which we've not seen in 100 years. We've got 100 years of a fiat experiment, and it feels like we're tail spinning towards the end of that. And without something like Bitcoin, without hard money, we wouldn't have an escape hatch at this stage. But because we have it, I think it just gives us all a little bit of hope that we'll. So it's quite a hopeful thing overall.
Next question, new partner. What aspects of crypto do you find yourself the most energized when you're learning about? Feel free to share. What did you talk about in your small group?
Pete came out of the closet to me that he wants to be a male stripper, but he's not sure that Maya will accept him. So we mostly talked about that.
Between that and a stunt man, it's always been two dreams of
Stripper
mine.
stunt man.
Which do you think should be more excited about?
Well, it's a toss-up, to be honest.
Good pun.
Vincent and I just talked about our history with getting into the crypto garden and everything that preceded that.
Anyone actually answer the question?
We actually did. I was just teasing. I was telling Pete that I am in need of a reverse intervention because all my friends are still really into something that I kind of took a break from. And so now I think I'm still trying to find my re-entry point. And I know there's a lot of really good information in the garden, and I'm being selective about how I want to re-engage. I told Pete, it's like when you quit doing smack, but you still hang out with a bunch of people who do smack. And so they have to sit you down and tell you why smack is awesome.
But what ways do you enjoy engaging with crypto?
Vincent likes the philosophy. I like that. The philosophy of crypto is fun to daydream about. I agree.
Yeah, one thing that Mark and I talked a little bit about was that we like meeting people all around the world and kind of realizing how similar we are, right? In the crypto garden or in other crypto spaces. It's something that's very common, right?
And then Marcelo was talking about growth. There's obviously the number go up growth, but then there's the growth of communities, like one that he was in of programmers, as well as one that we're all in together right now.
Yeah, Ryan mentioned the people as well in our group. I really like listening to visionaries who can see the world's possibilities from 5 years from now. And it creates hope that I didn't have before.
I was mentioning in our room how even when I was trading a lot, I was a little frustrated that the perception is if you're going to be in the crypto space, it's all about the market and learning to trade. And that is how most people come into crypto. But I think the bigger opportunity is that these are tools that are being used to solve problems in different ways. And I'm a little bit more critical now, honestly, than I was earlier this year on where we are in that development. And I was making the example that if you were to talk about rideshare apps, right, as a space that you're interested in, would you go out and immediately buy Uber stock, like maybe if you're early stage, that's a cool investment. But if you're really interested in ride sharing apps, you probably go download the apps and use them. And now you're getting cheap rides to and from the airport. And so I see crypto as being a way to facilitate utility like that, but it's not really in our hands yet. We're not actually using it. And I'm a little more realistic with where we actually are in that timeline. And so engaging crypto to me is less about the trading, although I am, kind of looking for ways to get more excited about that. And I think it's more encouraging us to think about how these things are actually going to be useful, like Pete said, to bank the unbanked. Or I was thinking if I were to have died in Ecuador, it's a possibility, all of the websites that I have, all the content I've created, all of this stuff is either on places that I have to pay a monthly service or it disappears off the web, or it's on a platform that I have no control over. And it was weird to think of, if no one pays those bills, all the stuff that I think of as my own imprint on the world goes away. And so there's a use case for crypto. It'd be really cool if that was all on a blockchain somewhere, like my legacy of thoughts and drawings and whatever could live on in the cloud or the block or whatever. So like things like that I think are cool, and I don't think they get enough attention.
So like, are we for IPSS or something like that? Is that what you're talking about? Where you can like pay once and have something live forever on the blockchain?
Yeah, I think there's a handful of teams that are looking at that. I mean, Filecoin, I think, is in that vein where it's distributed storage. And I don't know how you pay for it. I don't really know enough about it, but I also haven't been offered the opportunity really to migrate over to it. Because again, I think we're really early. Like the hope is there, but the utility isn't yet, unless you're a really technically savvy person who likes to get their hands dirty.
All right, last question, last partner. It's 2 years from now. What do you imagine your relationship with crypto will be like? Just sort of let yourself fantasize.
I discovered that Vince likes to play video games.
That's an understatement.
Me and Vince, we talked a lot about how we think that crypto is going to be a lot more adopted in 2 years, and maybe we can start doing, new things and exciting things in our real lives with crypto. Maybe you've seen around that it might be the next country to adopt Bitcoin. And again, I don't want to like crash anyone's dream, but it's not going to happen so soon, because the guy that's trying to make this law pass is just from a really small party. Recently, we had like a Congress meeting, like the head of Congress. For some reason, the conversation went to crypto for a second, and the head of Congress couldn't even pronounce Bitcoin correctly. He said Bitcoin. It might take a while, but we both see like it coming a long way in 2 years from now. It might be something like the internet or mobile phones, where it's kind of fringe and slow to start, but once it gets going, right?
Same theme with our talk to just kind of 2 years. Hopefully it's full circle where you can earn Bitcoin and spend or whatever crypto, earning crypto and be spending crypto. 2 years. I don't think that's unrealistic with that. El Salvador already kind of pushing that envelope. 24 months out, it's already kind of working. If you count your crypto cards, your like Visa cards or whatever that you can hit the ATM with, it's already kind of going that way.
I took a slightly different approach. Am I muted? No. I talked about the garden, because again, I was talking about how the people are really my investment in the space right now. And so in 2 years, I would like to see the crypto garden be a community of thousands of people that's more of a platform for smart people like Cello and many others to share their own brilliance in a place that is kind of safe and where people can come in and trust that they're getting good information. So I think in 2 years, if we continue on the course that we're on, I see calls like this. This is also early stages, and I could see there being, some really just amazing new people and conversations, and all of us learning and benefiting from being in a space where we're talking about crypto, but also humanity, like I think we do in most of these calls. So that's kind of my 2 year vision. Oh, and that we are all making lots of money in crypto so that we can actually direct that to do some cool stuff in the world, whether it's the Endangered Sound Project, NFTs, things like that, or as a community, we want to, you know, make an impact on X, Y, or Z, that we're all engaged and feel empowered to be a community in that way.
Charles Eisenstein has this concept called islands of sanity. And when you're in a kind of disruptive time, which one could say that now is in our world, that to put your attention on building islands of sanity, to like build proofs of concepts that can help people kind of migrate over to those once they're functioning. So yeah, in 2 years, I just imagine being in an island of sanity, maybe with all of you, and then educating people who want to move over to our island of sanity, and being that bridge or that boatman or something that sort of like paddles people across from a mainland of insanity.
Yeah, to me, guys, first of all, I really would like to thank you. Yeah, and Ryan, specifically your videos. I have watched every video of the past couple of weeks. The vulnerability, by the way, that you are also sharing is absolutely admirable. And this makes it for me worth joining the garden. And my vision for the next 2 years, I just shared with Leah. I'm an absolute believer in the new world, you know, where every individual has the space and the sovereignty and also the safety to go in their fullest potential, and going away from government, institutional and corporational control to rather, to individual and purposeful community sanity islands that take over the control. And that hopefully means also that we will be able, starting now, but hopefully also a step further in 2 years from now, that we are rebuilding one of the really not working building blocks that we need, whether it's be in education, in health, in ecology, with regards to economic building blocks. There's so much that we need to rebuild to really, go towards a purposeful evolution for every individual and for the collective. Plus also to turn our planet into, and every ecosystem we have on our planet, into a regenerative system. I'm talking also about industrial ecosystems. And I shared with Leah that I'm part of a couple of crypto groups, and they're very much about technical analysis, following every little step regulation takes and so on. But in the crypto garden, this is the only community I found where there is the space for all the other meaningful stuff that we need to transform and expand and enrich to really rebuild this world. And whether it be nutrition, yoga, mental health, physical health, spirituality. And this is what I'm feeling the most about and appreciating the most about the crypto garden. There are no boundaries of topics and opinions you can express. Everything is very respectful, and I feel protected. So it allows also for vulnerability, like for example, especially in your last video, Ryan, when you shared that you liquidated, I think, almost everything that you had in terms of crypto. And also I remember one video when you took your kids to school and you did a video in front of your Jeep. I think you wanted to go playing Frisbee with your dog. These, and also, you know, like what Josh is sharing, even in really tough moments in crypto. I try to avoid to look at these tough moments, but nevertheless, it's very supportive and absolutely admirable that what you guys are building, and you have my full respect. And I want to be part of that, especially with the goal to really rebuild our world. Sorry for this long statement.
Thank you. Thank you for joining and being on the call and sharing your perspectives. I think that is exactly what doing it feels like.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thank you, Leah.
Yep. My pleasure.
Thank you, guys. Thank
Cheers.
you. Bye-bye.